What's going on, guys? I am Optimus Philip, and holy shit, Nintendo just revealed that Metroid Dread is finally coming out this October. They released a trailer, an interview with series creator Sakamoto Yoshio, and a treehouse presentation showing off the gameplay. I haven't mentioned it much on this channel, but I am a huge Metroid fan. So hearing about a new 2D game in the series got me really excited, so much that I had to talk about it. Right out the gate, because I have to say it, presentation incredible. This is the first Metroid game in high definition, and it really shows. All the graphics look so clean, especially the smooth things like the arm rumble with Samus and her enemies, and the movements are so fluid, like Samus herself, who now has more animation to her in-game movements. This whole game just looks amazing, but you probably already knew that, so let's just get into the actual game. First thing I noticed is the brand new suit design. Looks a lot like the classic power suit, but with white and blue instead of gold, and what looks like exposed wires or even fibers. It's an interesting look, I'm really into it. It seems to be bringing in a bit more organic detail, kind of like the Fusion suit. And according to the treehouse presentation, there is a story behind it, so I'm curious to see what that is. We also got to see a ton of enemies. Some are familiar, like these slugs on the wall seem to be Zeros, and this creature guarding a door seems to be a Ghidorah that grew a worm body. But there are also so many new enemies, like these giant wasp monsters, this giant crustacean, and of course we have all the new robot enemies, including the Emmys. They patrol certain areas of the map, and if they find you, they will chase you relentlessly until you either get out of their reach or get caught, in which case it's an automatic game over. Yeah, I can see where the dread in the title comes from. Thankfully, according to the treehouse presentation, you respawn just outside their territory after dying to them instead of going back to your last save, which, nice quality of life improvement. This is an amazing idea for a Metroid game. It's like the SAX from Fusion, only now instead of there being just one that shows up at scripted points, there are multiple of them with unique abilities, and they roam around the map, so you never know when you're going to encounter one. What I find most interesting is that according to Sakamoto, these were originally research robots for the Federation, yet there's no explanation given as to why they're attacking you. I assume that's something you'll have to play the game to discover, but given that at the end of Fusion, Samus becomes a fugitive of the Federation, I wouldn't be surprised if there's something sinister afoot. There is a conspicuous absence among the enemies in this game, however, that being Metroids. Yeah, we don't see any of them in the gameplay footage. Considering that Metroid is in the title, this seems to be a glaring absence. I don't know if there are just no Metroids in this game, because they are supposedly extinct at this point, or if they're going to pull one last Lazarus on us late in the game. But given some of Sakamoto's statements, and we'll get to those later, I wouldn't be surprised if the Metroids turned out to be well and truly extinct. We also got to see some of Samus's abilities. She keeps her ledge grab ability from Fusion, as well as the free aim and melee counter from Samus Returns, which have now been upgraded to work while in motion. In terms of new abilities, we now have a slide, which allows Samus to quickly pass through areas that previously required a morph ball. It seems you can only slide if you have momentum, though. I assume this is to keep the morph ball relevant. But I think that this slide is a nice new addition that will definitely make traversing the world a lot smoother. In terms of upgrades, there's the spider magnet, which allows Samus to climb up specially marked walls and ceilings. I think this is a really cool idea. It's like the spider ball from Prime, but applied to Samus's whole body. I'm curious as to whether the grapple beam will work on these magnetic walls, or if you'll just have to jump up to them every single time. But the power-up that got the most focus is the Phantom Cloak, which allows Samus to turn invisible, which in turn allows her to evade enemies and access restricted areas. But there is a caveat to this power in that using it drains your Eon energy, and once that runs out, it begins to drain your life energy, so you have to be careful not to overuse it. This Aeon energy is apparently a feature that carries over from Samus Returns, so I'm curious to see how else it'll be utilized here. But on to the details that surprised me the most. In both the trailer and the treehouse presentation, we see something called the Central Unit, which appears to be an organic computer, much like Mother Brain. In the treehouse presentation, we see Samus touch it to gain the Omega Beam power-up, but judging by its appearance in the trailer, it does go on to become a Mother Brain-esque boss. Weirdly, the connection to Mother Brain is hinted at, but not explicitly brought up. They mention in the treehouse presentation that it's not the first organic computer in the series, but not that organic computers have consistently been enemies. Also, what the hell, is that a Chozo? I thought those guys were extinct! Sakamoto did say that there was a prologue recapping the first 4 games, but that just seems to be still images in a more 2D style. This is a fully animated 3D Chozo, implying it appears in the main game. I have no idea what's going on with that, but I really want to find out. There isn't a lot to go off of just yet in terms of story, but it takes place after the events of Fusion on a planet called ZDR, and Samus is for some reason trapped in the core of the planet and has to make her way up to the surface while evading the Emmys. The Treehouse presentations also show that Adam from Fusion returns in this game, but only for lore purposes and not to railroad the player. This is a bit of a relief since, while I liked Adam in Fusion, Metroid is so much better when you have full freedom of exploration, which Sakamoto did put a heavy emphasis on in his interview. But the biggest thing Sakamoto said was that this game will be the end of the story arc between Samus and the Metroids, which I guess means that there won't be a Metroid 6. Of course, this doesn't mean there can't be other story arcs. I mean, we're still getting Metroid Prime 4 at some point. But this seems to be the end of what I've called the classic series. And with the vast world to explore, the major upgrades in presentation, and of course the foreboding atmosphere, this game feels like one hell of a swan song. I'm very excited for this game and definitely plan on getting it when it comes out on October 8th. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, remember there's no cure for loving Metroid.